Hi, Bill. Thanks for having me on the show.
So, Mr. Jones returned home to his Circular Quay apartment after he was charged, as opposed to being behind bars. Is that proof alone that his legal fees are going to be well into the millions?
Well, I don't know if it's proof alone that it'll be into the millions, but I think it's proof that he's got the right team behind him. He's got an experienced team with decades and decades of these sorts of cases behind them. And that's what clients like Alan pay for, the complexity of the matter, the specialty of the lawyer. And that is the difference between being behind bars or being free to go home awaiting trial.
So that could have been the difference yesterday, that just having the right representation meant that he wasn't in any sort of custody.
Well, that's exactly right. And Chris and Brian are very experienced lawyers, and they've seen this before. They've litigated these sorts of matters before, and that's why Alan's engaged them.
What kind of money, I know you can't get into exact numbers, but what kind of money goes into a complex litigation like this with a high-profile person?
Yeah, sure. So with cases that my firm's seen, it can rack up easily into the hundreds of thousands. Alan's matters probably in the millions. And that's because of, again, the specialty of the lawyer, the intense court process and time restraints on when things have to be filed, the witnesses, the tons of witnesses that will need to be interviewed. And again, the specialty of the lawyer.
Does paying more really get you more?
Well, I'm not sure if it's paying more gets you more. I think it's what results in paying more is the lawyer, the law firm, the complexity of the case, the area of the law, the court process, the time frame that you've got and the responses that you have to make. For example, in Alan's case, the brief of evidence that they have to go through.
Is someone like because he's been around for a long time, Chris Murphy, he's viewed as a bit of a junkyard dog, a bit of a hard head, if you like, as well. Is someone like that particularly good to have on a case like this?
Absolutely. I think in any litigation, you need to have someone who's going to fight for you, whether you're a plaintiff or a defendant. I think, and litigators are a specialty breed, but this is what they're trained to do. This is where they shine, and that's why you pay what you pay for someone like that.
And are we expecting this will be a long trial when we do get there in March without having to go into any of the details because it's obviously still before the court?
Yes, absolutely. I think something like this can be drawn out for a very long time, unfortunately for all parties involved.
Now, what about those that don't have the means of an Alan Jones? How do they access good legal representation? What do they do?
Yeah, so what I find in my firm, and I speak with all new clients that seek out our advice, and I know that high costs can deter people from seeking out advice and justice. But in reality, there are funding companies, litigation funding companies, and they give clients peace of mind to allow them to seek legal advice and get the representation they need. As with any loan, of course, there's criteria to meet. And so I would recommend that anyone who's wanting to engage a lawyer, that they speak with that law firm up front about costs and what their options are, because there's lots of different options out there that people may not be aware of.
Are we in danger of following in the footsteps of the US legal system, do you think, or are we already there in terms of celebrity trials that play out in these big docudramas as well? And we saw a lot of that, I guess, a lot of drama play out with the Brittany Higgins court cases as well, and that's still ongoing over cost.
Well, that's right. And there's the costs, the litigation surrounding costs can be even drawn out, more drawn out than the actual trial we've seen. As to whether we're seeing in the US what we might see here, they're completely different systems. So I'm not sure we're there yet or anything to worry about. It's not really my area of expertise, but I don't think so.
And with the Jones case, when he mentioned yesterday outside court that it'll be going to a jury of 12 rather than a judge-only trial, what's the thinking there, and what's the better scenario, or how is that decided?
Yeah, so look, I can't talk to that as to what the idea of Chris and Brian had behind that, because I'm obviously not privy to that. And there will be, again, that comes down to the specialty of the firm and the lawyer and what they think is the best defence to put forward for Alan. And there would be definitely some sort of method behind why they've chosen a jury over a judge alone.
All right, it's interesting, and it'll be interesting when everything gets back underway in March, I think, is the next time Mr. Jones will be in court. So thanks for your time and explaining a little bit of how it all works, Jodie.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me on.